You know, I was talking with a dear friend of mine the other day, a wonderful woman of 82. We were sitting on her porch, watching the world go by, and she said something that really stuck with me. She said, "You know, when I was in my 60s and 70s, I thought I had this whole aging thing figured out. I'd read the articles, I'd done my exercises, I'd stayed social. But now it feels like a whole new country, and no one gave me a map." Have you ever felt something like that? That the rules of the game seem to change once you cross that threshold into your 80s? It's not that life suddenly becomes difficult, but it does present a new set of challenges, realities that our younger senior selves might not have fully appreciated. That's what I'd like to talk with you about today. Not to be gloomy or to frighten you, but to have an honest, heartfelt conversation. Because I believe that when we understand what we might be facing, we can meet it with strength, with grace, and with a good plan. We're going to walk through 5 of the harsher realities of life after 80, not so we can worry about them, but so we can look them right in the eye and say, "I see you, and I'm ready." Let's start with one that almost everyone in their 80s confronts, some days more than others, the profound and often frustrating loss of physical energy. Now, we all expect to slow down a little. In our 70s, we might notice we can't garden for 3 hours straight anymore, or that we need a little nap in the afternoon. But after 80, this can shift. It's not just about being a bit slower, it's that the fuel tank itself feels smaller. Tasks that were once simple, making a bed, preparing a full meal, even getting dressed, can require a significant portion of your day's energy. I remember my friend Arthur, a fiercely independent man who always prided himself on fixing things around the house. Just last week, he set out to change a light bulb in his hallway. Simple, right? He got the step stool, he got the new bulb. But just the effort of climbing up those 2 steps, carefully balancing, twisting the old bulb out and the new one in, it left him so winded and weary that he had to sit down for the better part of an hour to recover. He wasn't in pain, he wasn't ill. He was just spent. And the emotional toll of that, the feeling of your body no longer cooperating with your will, can be just as draining as the physical effort. So, what do we do with this reality? We don't fight it foolishly, but we don't just surrender to it either. We learn to manage our energy like a precious budget. Think of your energy for the day as a fixed amount of cash. You wouldn't spend half of it all at once on one big, frivolous purchase. You'd budget it. You'd prioritize. That's what we have to do now. If you know you have a doctor's appointment in the morning, that's a withdrawal from your energy account. So maybe you don't also plan to go to the grocery store that afternoon. You learn to pace yourself. You break big tasks down into little, tiny pieces. Instead of cleaning the kitchen, your goal might be to just unload the dishwasher. And if you do that, that's a victory. You've invested your energy wisely. It's about working smarter, not harder, and giving yourself permission to rest without guilt. Your body has carried you for over 8 decades, it's earned the right to set the pace. Now, this leads us directly into the second harsh reality, one that is deeply connected to our energy levels but strikes at the very heart of our independence, the gradual, and often necessary, reliance on others. This is a tough one for our generation, isn't it? We were raised to be self-sufficient, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. The idea of needing help with personal care, with driving, or with managing our finances can feel like a personal failure. It can be humbling, and sometimes even humiliating. I think of my neighbor, Eleanor. She's 84, and her eyesight isn't what it used to be. Her children, who love her dearly, gently suggested that it was time to stop driving. Oh, she fought them on it. She saw it as them taking away her freedom, her autonomy. And in a way, it was. But what she came to realize, after a few very scary near misses, was that it wasn't about her being a child again, it was about her being a wise adult who could see a real danger and choose to avoid it. The reality is that certain tasks may become unsafe for us to do alone. It could be driving, it could be climbing a ladder, it could be managing a complex cocktail of medications. The key to navigating this isn't to resist until you're forced to comply. The key is to reframe what it means to accept help. Needing assistance isn't a sign of weakness, it's a strategic decision for your safety and well-being. It's you remaining in control by wisely choosing to delegate tasks that have become risky. You are still the CEO of your life, you're just hiring a little bit of support staff. Talk to your family about your wishes before a crisis happens. Maybe you arrange for a grocery delivery service, or you hire a handyman for small jobs, or you set up a rideshare account with a family member's help. By taking these steps yourself, you are still holding the reins. You are moving from a place of forced dependence to one of chosen interdependence. It's a different kind of strength, but it is strength nonetheless. And as we consider this shift in our independence and our physical energy, it naturally brings us to a third reality, one that can sit heavily on the heart, the changing landscape of our social world. And that changing social landscape is something that can creep up on you, isn't it? One day you look around and realize the circle has grown smaller. We were just talking about the practicalities of relying on others for help, but this is about the heart. This is about the quiet that can settle in when the phone doesn't ring as often, or when you no longer have that one friend you could tell anything to. It's a pain that's unique to this chapter of our lives. In our 60s and 70s, we might have lost a few peers, but our social networks were often still vibrant: bridge clubs, lunch dates, traveling with friends. But after 80, the losses seem to come more frequently, and they cut deeper. It's not just about people passing away, though that is the most profound loss. It's also about friends moving into assisted living farther away, or being unable to drive to visit, or having a circle that's diminished due to health issues, their own or ours. You can find yourself feeling a loneliness that isn't just about being alone, but about missing the people who knew your story, the ones you shared a history with. I have a friend, Margaret, who lost her husband, Jack, 5 years ago. They were married for 58 years. She has a lovely family who visits, but she told me the hardest part isn't the big holidays, it's the ordinary Tuesday evening. It's sitting down to dinner for one, with no one to share the little news of the day, how the crossword puzzle had a clever clue, or how the neighbor's dog got loose again. That's the space where the loneliness lives, and the quiet, everyday moments that were once filled with shared companionship. So, how do we fill that space? How do we tend to this new, quieter social garden? We have to be brave and be willing to plant new seeds, even if we feel we don't have the energy for it. It means fighting the urge to isolate ourselves. This might look like making a conscious effort to call one friend or family member each day, even just for a 10-minute chat. It could mean accepting that invitation to a community senior lunch, even if you don't feel like going. It's in those rooms that you might just meet someone who also misses the sound of another voice. And it also means being open to different kinds of friendships, perhaps with people who are a bit younger, or with the kind volunteer who drives you to your appointments. These new connections won't replace the old ones, and they shouldn't. But they can create a new layer of support and companionship, a reminder that the world is still full of interesting people, and you are still one of them. Your story isn't over, and there are still people who want to hear it. Now, this sense of loss and change often brings another reality sharply into focus, one that we often tiptoe around but is one of the greatest fears for many of us as we age. And that is the reality of cognitive change. It's the worry that sits in the back of your mind when you walk into a room and forget why, or when you struggle to find a word that's right on the tip of your tongue. We've all heard the word dementia, and it can feel like a shadow. It's important to understand that some mild forgetfulness is a normal part of an aging brain. Our brains have been processing information for over 8 decades. It's okay if the retrieval system is a little slower. The problem is, the fear of significant cognitive decline can sometimes be more paralyzing than the actual experience. We start to second-guess every little lapse, and that anxiety itself can make it harder to think clearly. The harsh reality isn't necessarily that everyone will face a major cognitive illness, but that almost everyone will face the fear of it. And living under that cloud of fear is no way to live. So, what can we do? We shift from worry to proactive care for our minds, just as we do for our bodies. This isn't about doing crossword puzzles until your eyes cross, though if you enjoy them, that's wonderful. It's about novelty and challenge. Your brain gets lazy when it's always doing the same things. If you always do the same puzzle, try a different kind. If you always listen to the same music, try a radio station that plays something completely new to you. Take a different route on your walk, even if it's just around the block. Try learning one new word a day. It's also about staying engaged with the world. Follow a news story, watch a documentary, and talk about it with someone. That act of processing information and forming an opinion is a fantastic mental workout. And perhaps most importantly, talk to your doctor about your concerns. Don't let the fear fester in the dark. Shine a light on it. Knowing what's normal and what might be a sign of something more can give you immense peace of mind and a sense of control. Your mind is still your most precious tool, and it deserves your kindness and your attention. And that sense of control, of taking proactive steps for our minds and our bodies, is the very thread that leads us to the final, and perhaps the most profound, of these realities. It's one that encompasses all the others: the changing energy, the shifting independence, the quieter social circles, the concerns about our memory. It's the ongoing, and sometimes urgent, need to find and hold onto a sense of purpose. When the structure of a career is decades behind you, when the busyness of raising a family has settled, and when the physical world you can actively engage with begins to shrink, it's incredibly easy to ask yourself that daunting question: what is my purpose now? This isn't a small question. It can feel like a void, a feeling that your most important work is done and what remains is just waiting. This loss of a clear, defined role is one of the harshest emotional challenges of this stage, because it can strip our days of meaning and make us feel invisible, even to ourselves. I think of my own father in his final years. He was a brilliant engineer, a man who built bridges and solved complex problems his entire life. In his 80s, with his health declining, he once said to me, "I feel like a clock that's no longer telling time." It broke my heart to hear that, because he was still so much more than what he used to do. But he had lost the connection to his reason for being in the present moment. The reality is that our purpose must evolve, just as we have evolved through every other decade of our lives. It's no longer about building a career or a family, it's often about something softer, yet infinitely powerful. It's about being, rather than doing. So, how do we find this new sense of purpose? We look for it in the small, beautiful moments that we now have the time to truly see. Your purpose can be to be the keeper of family stories, to write them down or share them with your grandchildren. It can be to offer a listening ear to a friend who is also struggling, becoming a source of wisdom and comfort. Your purpose can be as simple as tending to a single plant on your windowsill, being responsible for one beautiful, living thing. It can be to find one thing each day to be grateful for and to truly feel that gratitude in your bones. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your face, the taste of a perfectly ripe strawberry, or the sound of a favorite song from your youth. Purpose is also found in the legacy you leave behind, not necessarily a financial one, but an emotional one. The way you face these later years with courage and grace, that in itself is a powerful purpose. You are showing your family what it means to age with dignity. You are teaching them that life is valuable right up to the very last moment. That is a monumental purpose. Now, as we bring our conversation to a close, I want you to look back on these 5 realities not as a list of fears, but as a map. We've talked about the need to manage our physical energy like a wise budget, to reframe reliance on others as a strategic choice for our safety and well-being, to bravely cultivate new connections to combat loneliness, to care for our minds with curiosity and without fear, and finally, to seek out and cherish a new, evolving sense of purpose in our daily lives. Life after 80 is indeed a new country. It has its own unique terrain, with valleys of challenge and peaks of profound beauty. But you are not without a compass. The compass is your own resilience, the wisdom you've gathered over a long and rich life, and the love that still surrounds you. Small, consistent steps in how you think, how you connect, and how you find meaning can make all the difference in the world between just passing the days and truly living each one. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What has been your experience with these changes? Or perhaps you found a wonderful way to find new purpose or make a new friend later in life. Share your story. Your wisdom might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this conversation has been helpful, if it's given you a little bit of strength and a new perspective, please give this video a like. It helps others in our community find it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more honest and supportive talks like this one. Remember, no matter your age, no matter the challenges, your life is a story that is still being written. Make today a beautiful page. Thank you for watching, and here's to you, to your strength, your wisdom, and to living your very best life.